Shalom. Call Haloyamla Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Bahasham Recha Kodash, Brakata Yahweh, Brakata Yahweh Brakata Recha Kodash, Bahasham Yahweh Bahasham Recha Kodash. Shalom and double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone. Shalom to the elders in the Akim and the Akwath. Shalom. I want to go into a quick video. Man, I seen this article here on naturalnews.com. I'll leave the link in the description box below. You can read the whole article. I'm gonna just touch on a couple paragraphs here, and then we'll grab some precepts and close out. So the name of this article here is called says giant homeless encampments set to explode across U.S. the United States. Organized retail criminals unleash coordinated mass thefts and violence. So what they're saying is that because even before 2020 hit and the rapid decline of the economy and society, morally and financially, because we're officially at the worst moral times in the history of mankind, it's going to only get worse and worse and worse and worse until the Messiah returns, right? So they already had, things what you call Skid Row, which is a homeless community, a major homeless community over there in LA. That's the most popular area, but actually it's a lot of areas throughout the entire country. But California was the largest. It's like a city. You can look it up on YouTube, Skid Row, SKID Row, Skid Row. And there's, videos on it and documentaries on it and stuff like that, right? Where it's called tent cities, like basically a homeless city within a city, and they're in the inner cities. And so it's like that all throughout the country. And some in the biggest cities it's the worst, and California is the top. It's kind of like the capital of homeless cities. So, but right here they're calling it organized retail criminals, ORCs. So if they are organized, so they're calling these people criminals. So how do they even have retail businesses and corporations in this country on this land? Because their forefathers, beginning with their quote unquote founding fathers, they were organized criminals that stole this land. So, and they are the descendants of organized criminals. So, as the scriptures say, as the leader, as the ruler of the people, so are the people. And so, the people, every Edomite, so-called white person you see today, they're descendants of organized criminals. So they can, the government, the elite, the wicked elite rulers, they gladly, hatefully label people that they've destroyed, and that are not a part of their wicked upper echelon society. But when it comes to them, they always rationalize it, and they always hide and deceive and fabricate, right? So that's just the hypocrite and devil, the deceiver the Bible speaks of. So we'll start reading here. It says worsening inflation stemming from endless fiat currency, money printing, is causing food, energy, and housing to become unaffordable for millions. For millions of Americans, putting them on a trajectory of homelessness and destitution. So all of these stimulus checks, as we've said, that's just gonna be this is Rome all over again, because inflation destroyed the currency of the old ancient Roman Empire as well. And there's nothing new under the sun. And America is Babylon the Great and Rome all over again. And kingdoms are reincarnated as well. And this country here is just a reincarnation of Rome, with Babylonian land of confusion principles. So, all of this inflation, printing that money is, it's debt notes. It's not money. It's not backed by money. I mean, it's not backed by gold, because the gold standard was removed back in the 70s when who was that? Ronald Reagan? That removed the, you can Google it, back in the 70s, like 74 or something, somewhere in the decade, when they removed the gold standard, the gold from being from the dollar was backed by gold, which it made the dollar valuable. Now then they removed gold, and then the dollar, the currency became a monopoly paper money, and it's not really valuable. You can buy things, but it doesn't really have true value, because true value is something you can exchange for, precious metals and everything, right? So the real currency is like silver back in the day, the old times, the gold coins and silver. But now they just evolved in Babylon the Great into just monopoly money. So so every time they print a dollar, that's just debt that they're borrowing from the Federal Reserve Bank, which is owned by the Rothschilds and Rockefellers, the Jewish Zionists, families that are directly under Satan. And so so every dollar that's in your pocket, that's an IOU to the Jewish man that owns the bank, and it has and it has interest on it that has to be paid back as well. Not only does it have to be paid back, that dollar, but interest on top of that. And so when you print, and give everybody all these different stimulus checks, there's so much interest that has to be repaid on top of that money, that they're just getting it from the bank. And who's the government going to foot that interest back to, and the debt back to the citizens? And the citizens can't pay it, and they're mismanaging all of the taxes. The government can repay everything through just the taxes, because they tax for everything. That shows you the wicked elites are taking the taxes that the citizens pay every year. It's a tax on everything. Anytime you buy something, there's always a tax. All that tax, and then the toll roads and everything that people pay, all the money off the toll roads, and every level of taxes that they charge everybody every day, every year. They could take that tax money and pay off everything. But but why? How come they're always in debt? Because they're taking that money and they pocketing that money, and then they're also paying Israel billions of dollars annually. The Jewish people, they're paying them billions annually, and they putting that money towards military budgets. It's just pure madness. Cave beasts, retarded cave beasts that are full of greed, are in control of the bucket that everybody's putting their tax money in, that they're paying the taxes, and then it's a bucket that is going into a digital bucket that is going into, and then the wicked elites are just taking that money, doing whatever the hell they want, giving themselves bonuses, buying yachts, jets, giving gifts, and just paying different things of whatever they want. And it's just it's pure psychotic, sociopathic rulership that must be taken down. Now, I went on a breakdown of that, but it's just the spirit came over me to just kind of expand on that, because it's just really maddening, the wickedness and the cave beast rulership stupidity that has run everybody in the shithole. But that's because they are a carnal beast, and they don't have spiritual guidance from the Most High. They just enjoying their little heaven for a little bitty season, and they're in the process of getting rooted out of this of their wicked rulership. So right here it says, at the end right here it says, putting them on a trajectory of homelessness and destitution. But first, let's go ahead and get a couple precepts real quick. Salakia. It says Deuteronomy 30:7, because they've been living fat all these years, and now they're struggling themselves. So Deuteronomy 30:7, and the Lord Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, thy power, will put all these curses upon thine enemies, and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. Who persecute the Israelites? Through the media, white America, so-called white media, always slandering us, and in the movies and everything, So, um, it's karma. What goes around comes around. In Galatians 6 and 7, what so you sow, you shall also reap. So they've reaped. I mean, they've sown slander and persecution of the Israelites, so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, and now they're reaping the same, because the triumphing of the wicked is for a moment, and now it's their time. The Most High is now beginning the process of tearing them down and putting them out of their misery forever. In Obadiah, chapter 1 and verse 7. 1 and 10. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. So this is the beginning phases of them being cut off forever. Oh man, this phone got some kind of issues going on, man. Shoot, here we go. Okay. So reading this, I want to go into the word destitution real quick. When you go to Google to find, so they come into destitution. So poverty so extreme that one lacks the means to provide for oneself. And this is going into the citizens, but then ultimately Esau at the top, he's being brought to destitution. He's in the early stages of desolation, which is destitution. The Most High is bringing them and making them impoverished and bringing poverty upon them and bringing down and destroying their economy and everything. So similar words here: poverty, impoverishment, the process of becoming poor, loss of wealth. This country was the richest, most powerful place on the planet. Now they're no longer the world superpower economically, because everything's built in China and made in China. So China is the greatest economy basically right now, and then Russia is the biggest landmass and military. Actually, in most ways, if not always, Russia's military and thermonuclear missiles, the Satan II missiles and everything they have, their army and military and nuclear missiles is greater than America. And then now the Most High is they've been surpassed militarily by Russia, and then now the economy, the Most High is bringing them is in the process of making them poor, because about 4, 5, 6 years ago, and probably even a little earlier than that, it was a thing called the retail apocalypse, where all of the retail companies just began mass shutdowns all throughout the country, and it's getting worse and worse. So that's the beginning. That's the clear signs that the Most High is in the process of making this country poor and making them lose their wealth. And that dollar is about to crash, and we know it's about to be that digital dollar that's coming pretty soon. So they're in the early phases of impoverishment right now. So that's that destitution the Most High is bringing upon the wicked elites and upon Esau Edom. So impoverishment. So we're going to go there to it. So when you go to Malachi 1 and 4. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith the Most High Power, Yahweh of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness. So Esau Edom, so-called white race, they are the border of wickedness. There's no other way around it. They are a wicked tree that bear wicked, rotten fruit, sinful fruit, and sinful deeds. The border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, hath indignation forever. So right here it says, at the top up here it says, whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished. See, this was the first time they got impoverished. During the during the Roman Empire, the fourth beast. The Roman Empire fell because actually when you go into the history around between 100 to 200 AD, the Roman Empire split into two kingdoms: the Eastern Empire and the Eastern Roman Empire, and the Western Roman Empire. The Eastern Roman Empire was called the Holy Roman Empire. Why? Because the Judah, the tribe of Judah, the Southern Kingdom got up in there through the as they were gladiators, and Septimius Severus was a gladiator that was captured by the Romans, and they got up into the military ranks, and then they took over the Roman Empire and everything, and then they branched off from the Eastern Empire. The Eastern Roman Empire was the Judites, the tribe of Judah, and also tribe of Levi and Benjamin that was with Judah was ruling Rome on the Eastern Empire and the Constantine Empire, the Byzantine Empire, which it became known as. And the Western Empire was the same Edomites that had to rule on their own. They got divided. It was a weakened Roman Edomite empire in the Western Roman Empire, and then they fell around 300 A.D. But that's a different topic. I don't want to go too deep in it. But then they fell for 1,000 years after that Western Roman Empire fell, and they fell and went to the Dark Ages for 1,000 years, and that's when they had got impoverished. This is a prophecy. They got impoverished because they got sent up in those caves, and then they came back during the Renaissance period around 1300 to 1400. So real quick, we'll get that impoverished. So impoverished means to beat down, shatter, to beat down, shatter, to be beaten down. So how did they get beaten down? During the Roman Empire, that fourth beast, when the Roman Empire fell around 300 AD. And they said they said they were going to rebuild. And they rebuilt it for a temporary season. The Roman Empire got revised through America, but in Revelation 13:3, it says, "And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed." And that was wounded to death was when the Roman Empire fell, and his deadly wound was healed through the Renaissance and the whitewashing of all of the so-called black images, the Israelites. It's a book called Russian Icons. You can look up. It's about $1,500 because they don't want you to see what they did when they came out of the caves during the Renaissance period, which means rebirth. And they whitewashed everything over there, and they tried to whitewash everything that we had established over there in Europe during those 1,000 years they was in the caves, during the so-called Dark Ages and medieval times. And his deadly wound was healed. How? Through the Renaissance and through America, because America is the way they run their Congress and the government. It's the exact same way the ancient Roman Empire was run then, with the Senate. And his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wandered after the beast. So they all wandering after the beast right now. So that's what that's going into. Because what did the Most High say? Because Esau said what? We are an impoverished, in verse 4 here, we are an impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Because they became desolate through the destitution of their economy and their money. And the Most High and the biblical prophecy had to be fulfilled for them to go down and come back. And then the Most High going to take them out for good in these times. And return and build the desolate places. Thus saith the Most High Power, Yahweh of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down. And they shall call them the border of wickedness. So now the Most High is in the process now of impoverishing them again, beginning with their economy and bringing them to poverty, where they're going to become desolate ultimately. So now we'll go, let's see what I want to get. Yes, because destitution is when they start becoming impoverished, and the country becomes poor. And then the end of that is desolation. The end result of destitution is desolation. And where they get is it. So we'll go to I'm looking at my notes here, Slocky for that. But it's got notes here. I'm trying to make sure I'm following in the right order. So we'll go to Ezekiel 35 and 7. Thus will I make Mount Seir most desolate. See, because destitution is the beginning phases, and then the end of the end result of destitution running rampant on the society is desolation, and cut off from it him that passeth out, and him that returneth. So he returned to his heritage over here in the Western Hemisphere, and then the Most High is going to make them. He's going to cut them off forever. So Mount Seir, excuse me, that's the mount of Esau, Edom, the so-called white race, because Mount Zion is the mountain of the Israelites. So to get the context to prove that, I'll just go ahead and let's get the word real quick. I thought I was gonna say Edom up there, but it didn't. It's saying Seir, but Seir is another name for Esau. It's the Mount of Esau. Seir, hairy or shaggy. So to show you, because Esau, if he don't shave, he'll become very hairy, and very shaggy like a dog. So it's very. These names are nomen omens, meaning name predictions. It's names had meanings back in the day. Nowadays, names don't have any meaning, but back in the day, the names is a particular trait of that person. So the Mount Seir is the mountain of the hairy or the shaggy people. Patriarch of the Horites, the inhabitants of Edom, before the descendants of Esau, the Edomites. So Esau, he went and took over that land, just like the Israelites took over the land inhabited by the Canaanites and the land flowing with milk and honey. Esau took over the Horites' land, mountain over there, and that became his mountain. So that's why it was first inhabited by the Horites, but Esau took over it, and that's his mountain now. So that's what it's referencing. It says the inhabitants of Edom before the descendants of Esau, the Edomites. So, and B, the land of Edom, south of the Dead Sea, because Edom, the Edomites, so-called white race, we've always been the tribe of Judah, so-called blacks today, and so-called white race, they always been right by each other, even over there in the east in our homeland, and over there in Jerusalem and the southern kingdom. The Edomites directly was the southern border, was directly south of the southern kingdom. The so-called blacks, the Judites, it's the tribe of Judah. So the land of Edom, south of the Dead Sea, they were south of Judah. So a mountain range in Edom, extending from Dead Sea to the Atlantic Gulf. So just to get the so you can see who Seir is in the scriptures. That's the Mount of Esau, Edom, the so-called white race. And the Most High says he's going to cut them off. And this Skid Row, these tent cities, these cities of homeless people on the side and all throughout the inner cities, they're now, these are end time prophecies, and these are end time apocalyptic, the purge type times, where the Most High is pouring out the Spirit upon everybody to where everything is just breaking down and Esau is being destroyed from within. And these 10 cities are now organizing to ransack these corporate retail companies, because the rich don't give a damn about the poor, and they're at their point now where they're tired of the suffering, and they're about to now just start ransacking everything, and about to destroy the retail, the last what's left of the retail economy. So from there we'll go to Proverbs 29 and 7. Like I said, I'll leave the link of the article in the description. You can go and read the whole thing, but that's pretty much the essence of the article, talking about the homeless people that's going to band together. It's not that's that Egyptian versus Egyptian spoken of, and I believe in Isaiah 13, the first and second verse. The modern day Egyptians are a so-called white race, and everybody is about to be pure chaos and hell, and everybody is going. These are those seditions among men and the uproars of the people, and we didn't know it was gonna be homeless people rising up too, you know. So even the homeless people coming up, man, about to rise up against Esau. And also, you know, you have what you call with the militia, which are, you know, average citizens, former military guys or guys that's trained well in how to shoot guns, and they have a large artillery. They coming up together, and they're going to be coming up against the government, and then also other people as well, average citizens. So it's just about to be, you know, every level, just factions and groups coming up against other groups and against the elites. That's what's coming to America. You know, looks like starting next year with the whole Chicago. I made that video about Chicago in on January 1st. The Purge is coming to Chicago, starting in Chicago and going to spread throughout the country with all the laws. Nobody going to be arrested for kidnapping, for rape, for second-degree murder. They won't be charged or nothing. They just going to be, so it's just pure hell and lawlessness is about to flood the city, to flood the country, starting 2023 and beyond until the Messiah return, as those nukes about to hit. So, you know, but the elect that will have the covering going to be protected. But this has to happen. This must come to pass for the kingdom of heaven to be ushered in. It's going to be a very destructive breakdown of the Most High is going to methodically break this place down, and it's going to be a horrible judgment, you know, in process of it happening because of the wickedness, you know, for the wicked. These things have the Most High is bringing judgments down upon the wicked. He's not going to bring judgments down upon the righteous and the hopeful and the, you know, the faithful. That the Most High is not unrighteous to forget about the righteous that are stuck in this hellhole right now. He's going to provide and protect them. So let's get Proverbs 29 and verse 7. The righteous considereth the cause of the poor, but the wicked regardeth not to know it. So that's why, you know, read earlier in verse 2 in the video earlier, we'll read verse 2. It says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. Because verse 7 broke it down further. It says, the righteous considereth the cause of the poor, but the wicked regardeth not to know it. The righteous, the Israelites, the 1/3 elect they care about, you know, they're going to care, but they're not going to let anyone go poor. No one's going to be poor and needy and destroyed in the kingdom of heaven, because righteous rulership is going to be making sure, you know, the first and foremost, you know, the Most High and Yahushua is going to make sure everything is in righteous order and everybody's going to have a portion. Nobody's going to go without and be hungry. No Israelite is going to be poor and needy. But right now, the wicked ruling, and all they care about is the wicked. All they care about is the elites. You know, they care about themselves. That's why they have those. That's why they have those underground bunkers, because they're gonna try to escape the thermonuclear fire and destruction coming, but they won't do them any good. From there, we get Psalms 37 and 17. For the arms of the wicked shall be broken, and that's what's happening right now. They're being brought into destitution, which the end results is what? Desolation. And it's going to be permanent this time. But the Lord Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, upholdeth the righteous, as I was just saying. You know, the Most High is going to bring the judgments upon the wicked, but the righteous is going to be upheld in these times. And the Most High say what? Stability. Let's go ahead and get it real quick. Isaiah. And this is for comfort in these times. Verse Isaiah 33 and 6, and wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times and strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai is his treasure. So this is our treasure. Fearing the Most High is our treasure. That's very profound. So in fear, that's our treasure. Because wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times. And it's going to be our strength to salvation to be able to get beamed up in one of those chariots. So the wisdom of these scriptures and filtering it through the scriptures of what's happening is our stability coming in these times in Jacob's trouble. But they're going to be, but the righteous is going to be upheld and protected through it all. So going back to Psalms 37 and 17, Okay, verse 18. The Lord Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai. Let me see. Sorry, let me have another precept. Psalms 103, let's read 17, says, For the arms of the wicked shall be broken, but the Lord Yahweh upholdeth the righteous. So Psalms 103 and 6. The Lord Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai executeth righteousness and judgment for all that are oppressed. Who are oppressed? The Israelites are oppressed chiefly because the Most High, the apple of the Most High's eye, are the Israelites, and we are oppressed. He's going to execute righteousness and judgment, not for the righteous oppressed, not for the remnant 1/3 Israelites, but for those that are the wicked. He's going to break their arms. That he said in Psalms 37 and 17. Esau Edom is oppressing us. We need help, and the Most High sees it, and He knows it already, and He already prophesied it. So He's about to bring it down upon Esau Edom now, because He already wrote the script from the beginning. We just have to have the faith that it's going to happen. That's what Scripture say: the just shall live by their faith. So the faith and the belief in the Most High was going to justify us, because our righteousness, was as a filthy rag, but we continue to do our best to keep the commandments. So we'll go from there to, let's go back to Psalms 37. And let's see. Now we'll go to verse 18. The Lord Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai knoweth the days of the upright, and their inheritance shall be forever. So we just seen the Most High knows the ways of the Most High knows the end of the upright. I will inherit the elect. Hopefully, we of that number. Their inheritance is going to be forever. The wicked won't be, because this is this is the so-called white man's heaven. They love their right. What's a white privilege? Is their heavenly card that they can pull whenever they want, and Edom and so-called white people have said plenty of times is that being white is great, because why? It's a heavenly state, because they enjoy the full benefits of their heaven that they've created. They get the best rates, and they get approved just like that for credit and loans. Rarely do they get rejected unless they have just really bad credit. Because I had worked on my credit, got it up to over 700, and I was getting denied for certain credit, and I'm like, okay, they say even once you get your credit to a certain level, you're supposed to now, and I'm sure if it was an Edomite, they'd be getting approved like and that's that white supremacy and white privilege, and it was pure madness. But this is our lot right now. We're suffering, and we have to go through this, but know that our inheritance is forever. So right here, and their inheritance shall be forever. That's the upright, which is keeping the commandments and having the faith. So we'll go to Psalms 1 and 6. For the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushai knoweth the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish. So the ungodly is in the beginning phase of going through the destitution, and their end is going to be desolation, and they're going to perish. And why? Because of their wickedness and their unrighteousness, because they're ungodly. So James chapter 5 and verse 1. Go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Right now they're weeping. Everyone that's heaped to themselves riches and treasures for the end days, and we're just for storing up their treasures in Babylon the Great. Now it's going to it's being destroyed and diminishing because of the desolation and destitution the Most High is bringing upon it. Verse 2, your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth-eaten. Why? Because they have carnal riches, not spiritual riches with the Most High. Verse 3, your gold and silver is cankered. So the modern gold and silver is their money, their monopoly money, and their credit, and all of these different things they got in this society that they benefit from, loans and all of that. And that word cankered goes into being, rust. like a cancer. It's cankered to rust over, covered with rust. So over time, like metal, like iron, left out, it rusts over time. So that's their money. It's the same way. It's rusting over time. It's not getting better, but the elect, the the righteous, that's blessed with salvation, the Israelites, their money is going to be forever and ever in the kingdom of heaven. It will never rust. It's just going to just be in the best state and condition all the time. And the rest of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Ye have heaped treasure together for the last days. And that's what they do. Now, the doomsday preppers on the average citizen level, they all thinking that they're going to be able to withstand and weather the storm. But the Most High gave me understanding, like a couple years ago, that it came like not epiphany, but like a realization that a lot of these places, a lot of these Edomites, so-called white people that are storing up all of these, that are doing all this doomsday prepping, a lot of them going to get destroyed, and then it's going to be houses and homes and apartments where people have stored up things. And the Most High said that He's going to be a spiritual guide to the elect. And they're going to be pilgrims upon the earth. What does a pilgrim do? They navigate and maneuver throughout the land. So those that He may, guide and direct, He might guide you and direct you to one of these preppers' houses that got tons of food stored up, and that's going to sustain you for however long the Most High wants you to be there until He guides you somewhere else, or you stay there and hold up there for a while until the Messiah returns, or He can manifest food out of thin air, like He did the manna in the old days in the wilderness, during the first Exodus. Or He can send a raven like He did for Elijah the prophet. Sent that raven, I believe it was Elijah, not Elisha, I believe it was Elijah. Where the raven, the Most High had guided Elijah to a tree, to an area, to sit down and relax. And a raven, He sent the raven, the Most High Yahweh sent a raven to Elijah to feed him with food. So it's just going to be miraculous deeds that's going to be happening all throughout, so the elect are going to eat no matter what. They're going to eat and drink while hell is all hell breaking loose. They're going to not be touched. So make sure you just store up your treasures in heaven, keeping the commandments, and pray to the Most High, have the faith in the Messiah. You're going to be all right. And don't stress. It can be a little worrisome, but just know the Most High got you. If you're doing the right thing, if you've been storing up that spiritual credit with the Most High, you're gonna be just fine. Psalm 65:14. And the way you store up that spiritual credit, keeping the commandments, repenting, pray for forgiveness daily, and have the faith in the Messiah. It's really a plain, straightforward blueprint, but it's not that hard. It's not that easy, for most people. Psalm 65:14. Is it 65? What Psalm? Oh, Isaiah 65? Maybe it's Isaiah 65:14. Behold, my servants shall sing for joy of heart, but ye shall cry for sorrow of heart, and shall howl for vexation of spirit. So, it's going to be pure elation and happiness. The Most High is going to bless the elect, going to bless them with food and water and protection in these last days. And they're going to make it. And the wicked, they're going to be destroyed, All right, so we'll go to Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus chapter 10 and verse 8. It reads, because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. So how did the pilgrims, the so-called white race, Esau Edom, how did he get America? Through unrighteous dealings with the peace treaties that he signed with the natives, and he broke all of them and gave them disease-riddled blankets and slaughtered them and destroyed them. Injuries and riches got by deceit. He deceived the natives, which are the lost 10 tribes of Israel. He got this country and all of his money by deceit, by deceiving them. He's the devil the Bible speaks of. The word devil means deceiver, slanderer, and false accuser. So that's a deceptive thing. He's lying on people. He's lying on the Israelites. The kingdom is translated from one people to another. So we know Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. And it's going to get translated from Esau to Jacob. And the wicked at least know this, and that's why they're trying their best to keep this truth suppressed, because they know that we're up next forever and ever under Yahweh and his commandments, and Yahweh shall enforcing as the righteous king under Yahweh forever and ever. So 2nd Ezra 6 and 9. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So that's that Esau got his riches through deceit and injuries and wickedness, and everything's going to get because he rules the earth right now, and the earth is going to get translated from him and all of the riches into Yahushua, who's going to inherit it from the Most High, and then his elect body that's going to rule with him. So with that, I hope this video was edifying. I'll leave the link to the description. I'll leave the link to the article in the description below. And with that, I hope this video was edifying. To the next video, I say Shalom.